Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com.
Last time, Series 7 saw us bring back some seasoned veterans, as well as introduce a few rookies. In fact, some of those new faces proved to be some incredible talent and quickly climbed the ranks of the PCA. Today sees a similar scenario and leaves us wondering if any of them will become the next big name as we get ready to watch Event 1 of the 2022 PCA Sim Racing Zone Group Championship, presented by Hagerty Motorsports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is DJ Clark and Rachel Whiteford. Cameron Auvernon is on social media along with Ryan Bauer producing, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. As always, the PCA Sim Racing Series is brought to you by Hagerty. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared towards enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Hagerty, let's drive together. And for our first race tonight, it's a bit of an unusual track. It is the road course here at Auto Club Speedway. Let's head to our track guide provided by GSRC to see what they have in store for the drivers. Welcome to Auto Club Speedway. Located in a prime location directly east of Los Angeles, it's been used in many Hollywood films. While the oval portion of this track is more well-known, the road course has hosted everything from club racing all the way up to top-tier sports cars. The variety in layouts makes it well-suited to higher and lower-powered cars, as well as everything in between. Of the 3 circuits available, they range between 3 miles and 1.5 miles, but all of them are quite technical and have between 17 and 21 corners. Naturally, the fastest parts will always be those that utilize the oval, but they end in quite heavy braking zones. The infield has some surprisingly difficult corners, such as the hairpin, which starts with a fast chicane and then trips you up by forcing you to brake on a curve. The exit back onto the oval also comes with its own challenges, wherein some cars find themselves losing grip as they pick up speed. Plus, the transition onto the banking can be jarring if you let the car swing too wide. A good handling setup will be critical to your lap times for sure. All in all, the oval might steal the show, but grassroots racing has made the roadside of this venue a valuable track to the area. Fans and drivers are sure to enjoy the racing today. Well, DJ, hopefully some of the drivers have had at least a little real-world experience out here, because it certainly isn't a track that shows up a lot on the iRacing service.
No, it certainly doesn't, Joe, but that is partially because it is such a tricky infield section around here. Obviously, going around the first two corners, pretty straightforward. That big D-shaped oval, watch for some great drafting and potential overtaking to get done. But then when we go into the elongated chicane of 3 and 4, that's where things get a little bit interesting. It's very tricky to get a pass done into there because the track narrows up so very much, diving into that corner. Now, as they continue to work their way around and the rest of it, it's going to be a lot of follow the leader through the infield. You may see a gutsy pass done into 11 and 12, but outside of that, it's really going to be a lot of just trying to force the driver in front of you into an error.
Certainly, as we're watching Franznik here, who is on the pole position, but now we've switched back to Palmer. Here we go. There is our provisional pole sitter coming to complete lap 2, and let's see what it is. Looks like that one, unfortunately, was deleted. But I have to imagine, Rachel, this is going to be at least somewhat familiar territory for anybody who's come across last month's big race on a Roval, the Daytona 24, where we've got these huge open spaces here on the banking. I got to think that we're going to see a lot of slipstreaming through that part.
Yeah, sure, we absolutely are. And let's not forget, these guys actually ran here last season in these cars with PCA and Season 7. So this is a track they'll be very familiar with, this layout. It's an unusual one, yes. It doesn't share a lot in common with perhaps Daytona. There's a lot more cones here, as we'll see throughout this race. But yeah, it's a Roval. It's one of those track types that people get used to. Of course, the infield entry here, as you see with Palmer, on the back straight, which definitely shakes things up a little bit. So you have that whole front stretch to go through the oval component. And it's going to be a tricky track. Passing is at a premium, but there are definitely opportunities for these guys here, as we see Kaufman hitting that huge banking on the front stretch here. It really is intimidating to see how much that gets up to, but they'll be sticking low as much as they can and across the line.
Unfortunately for Kaufman, another deleted lap. Now that is probably going to be pretty common here in the qualifying session, because there's a whole portion of this track that is literally denoted by just lines on the pavement and cones. And poor DJ here, his cone friends are getting a beating out here today. Here's another portion right here coming into the infield where they've got some cones. But easy, DJ, to just go over the track limits because of that.
Yeah, it's very similar, Joe, to Sebring, in that middle sector at Sebring, where it's just a flat surface kind of running around there, and you just have to know intrinsically where some of these corners are that you've got to take. As we watch Linz coming down into the pitch, Kaufman again here going through that fast flick that is 6 and 7. And then this is one of the heavy braking zones that we will be talking about. Turn 8, very, very hard to get right. It's a decreasing radius corner through there, and then through the almost nothing chicane of 9 and 10.
Unfortunately, he has not set a time yet. I'm keeping an eye as well on Mike Sachs, because it looks like he might be on a good one for his third lap here, and he's coming off of the final corner. So I'm watching to see if he can improve on 5th place, as we kept our eyes back there on Kaufman. There is Sachs, and it is an improvement, 33.4. That's actually onto the second row, 3rd place. Nicely done there.
Yeah, it really is. You got a good positioning for that one, and it's going to help with the lap, of course. But I think these guys right now, they're in this position where they're trying to just get this thing fine-tuned. The race is nearly upon them. Most of our qualifying times are in, I believe, in terms of what we're going to get. And it is incredibly easy to get an off track here in that infield. There are several corners that really benefit from just putting a wheel slightly wider. 0x will not hurt you, of course, if you are actually in a race lap, but it's going to hurt you on an automated qualifying tracking time. So they'll take it here, they may not take it later, but it's going to give you that slightly faster time where it matters. So it's now the time to switch over between that qualifying mentality and that race mentality.
And still watching Eric, the 15, has one last lap, and I'm checking to see if he's got enough time. Yes, it looks like he's got enough time to complete this lap, as they are not given time to finish hot laps if they run out of that clock that you see there at the top left. So 3 laps to try and set a quick one, but you got to get out there and you got to get rolling. So the number 15 sitting P17, currently coming up to one of the many chicanes in this track, this circuit, and then it's down into the cone section, the cone zone, I guess we could call this part, as they come around and on to the oval. So far, so good from what I'm seeing. Doesn't look like anything was outside of the bounds, and he keeps it from slamming into that banking. So the number 15 across the line. Is this going to be quicker? It's looking good on my timing screen. And it's a 35.0, a big improvement. That'll be up to 14th, DJ. And I think that might be our last driver.
I think it will be, as well as the only other driver I'm seeing coming around is Steve Komatz, and I think he is done. And even that little infinitesimal improvement, Joe, is going to be huge. Overtaking, going to be very, very difficult. And so the less you have to do to get yourself towards the pointy end of the field, the better off you're going to be.
No doubt about that. And hopefully avoiding a bit of the melee at the start, too. Breaking down into that first little chicane that takes you into the infield is definitely one that causes some problems. I think it's time to go to the grid now. So let's give our starting order. And Franznik is starting on the pole. He'll be followed by Mark Lacombe in second place. It's Mike Sachs in P3, followed by Scott Kessel in fourth and Chris Sari P5. After that, Steve Komatz will be in sixth. It's Jeff Ferguson starting seventh today. Chad Dick will be in the eighth position, followed by Michael Burgoyne in ninth, and DJ top 10 rounded out by Andrew Smiley.
Stacey Awad is going to be lining up in P11, followed by David Purdy, with Freddie Lopez and Eric Kaufman behind him. Robert Gordon will be 15th, followed by Robert Palmer with Bruce Frobe and Robert Benson. Jack Stevenson and Andrew McClune round out your top 20, and Steve Lenz is 21st.
24 cars. And again, this is not the only race that we're going to be watching tonight. This is the challenge class that we're witnessing. We're going to see the sport drivers after this one. So make sure and stick around once this 40-minute event is over. And we haven't talked about it as much yet here, Rachel, but there are pit stops once again that they need to think about. And I'm sure that will play a big part of things, especially if people are having trouble trying to overtake.
Yeah, I think it certainly will now. The 45% on the fuel they're running, that means it's going to be under half an hour. We're probably looking at about 25 minutes maximum fuel for this, meaning they're going to have a pit window of about 10, 15 minutes in the middle of that race. That's going to be the critical time. We're running 40 minutes tonight, of course, and that means that we're thinking from about 10 minutes on till 10 minutes to go, there's a ballpark they can pit there. So with it being slightly shorter, that window will be kind of wide for us, which I think will definitely change things. But I get the impression, I think most people will run a fairly equal stint, meaning they have the same low enough amount of fuel in the car. Some people may run heavy early on and will go for that last little drop at the end for a quick stop. Or you can do it the other way around and to go light at the start to get some good track position and distance, pit early, get that car filled up, and go once you've established track position. So I think it's going to be the safe bet is halfway. The people who have confidence in track position will go late.
As the pace car now takes off. So we're going to get rolling here pretty quickly in round one of the Zone Group Championship here in 2022. PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Haggerty Motorsports is not disappointed in the past. Let's see if we'll start off with a bang. And as the Porsche pace car leads them actually quite slowly here through the infield, only 35 miles an hour that they're going to be running before it peels off to the left-hand side. Looking to give control over to Franznik, who waits for the green flag from Barney. Giving it a nice patient time until he gives the field the go. And they're getting right up to the starting line here. There's the green flag now, and it's a very good jump for James. Not so for third place starter Mike Sachs. He starts to drop back and around the outside. Looks like Scott Kessel is starting to gain a little bit. We're seeing the slipstream already start to affect his car's jockey for position, DJ.
Yes, indeed they are. There's a big run there for the 210 for Steve Komatz trying to run on the high side, but as we've seen, not quite enough horsepower out of these cars to really make that high line work. But Komatz in the 82 up there trying to bring it on as they go into the chicane for the first time contact.
Oh, and they're unfortunate a little bit on the racing line. A few having to scatter off track. It looks like Sari is involved in that. Ferguson, who's unfortunately almost going to spin it back onto the field. Lacombe and Sachs. Rachel, this is the mess that we feared.
Yeah, it really is. We're going to take a look back at what just happened for them, of course, but This was one of those moments where it was really critical to the race story, and it was the 0-3 came in, clipped the curb, bounced over that, and that put him in a bad position there. Sorry, 599, who was running in third. Sachs was the car that clipped the curb, clipped into 19 of Lacombe, spinning those two out, causing that little moment there. And thankfully, many avoided it. The 20 got a little piece of the action. Sorry, but there's a big dodge here. Look at this. Look at Kessel. You could almost call this the Kessel run. No, yeah, too soon. Wasn't fast enough.
No, he definitely had to slow down. He lost a lot of positions, but he's got a car that's undamaged. I think that's a big plus out here. And, there's a car that is certainly taking out a lot of cones there. Go ahead, DJ.
I was going to say that may be a little bit of an off track, and they're going to have to watch out for that. Interesting here from Lopez, not going in the draft of the 021 of Burgoyne right ahead of him. Trying to see what he's going to do here, but he's carrying more speed, Joe.
Had two more spins. Jack Stevenson and Stacy Owada both spun at the end of the field. And they're going to get back to racing without having any sort of incident. But here we watch Burgoyne looking at Lopez up on the high side. He's going to defend. Oh, but he goes a little deep into the corner. That's going to compromise his exit. Switching back underneath. There goes Lopez. That was a handy move, Rachel.
Yeah, zone 6 driver Freddie Lopez there, taking a big jump, getting through there. He had the right positioning, and that defensive line did not pay out for driver of Burgoyne. So swap those positions out, of course. But one guy who is definitely smiling right now is the driver, in fact, of Andrew Smiley. He is currently running up in the 4th spot. He's up from 10th already, 6 spots gained there. That is a huge move for him so far in this race. He's shown there from Zone 1. The Wildcats of Zone 1, the Connecticut Valley region there. Andrew Smiley putting in some great work so far. Oh, more cones.
Yeah, we're going to see plenty of those as this carries on down into the braking. Now we see Kessel and Smiley trying to sort out 4th place just outside of the podium. They are within reach, honestly, of those podium positions. You can see that red and black car of Chad Dick and Steve Komatz in the 210. And this slipstream will certainly help them start to gather it up as they cross the line to start lap 3. Let's see just how much time they can get, DJ.
Riding on board with Kessel here, maneuvering up as he moves up off of the apron onto the bank and really playing footsie there with that white line. That's causing the car to slip and slide a little bit. I would have thought that would have cost him some time, but he's doing a good run. He's going to stick down to the low side here, heavy into the braking zone. That's a late maneuver.
Oh, but there's lap traffic in front of him. That's Steve Lenz, who has just returned to the track recently, and it kind of halts his progress, but he does get by Smiley in that process. So Kessel now going around the outside of Steve in the 046, so thankfully able to keep out of his way in the other part of the infield. Next in line for him is going to be Chad Dick. We had an incident in the background. That was Bruce Froby.
Yeah, it was. Bruce Froby had a bit of an issue there, trying to work out where that actually was for him on track. I'm going to replay it for you of this moment here. It was coming through that infield entrance area, 16th place there, the Zone 10 Red River region driver, and I'm kind of struggling to see what actually happened to him actually just now. Oh, it was contact from the rear. Oh, the 14 machine just touched him a little bit too close to his no-no square, and round he went.
That's Robert Gordon that made that contact, so wonder if he'll be getting a black flag from that one. Yep, and as soon as I say that, I look down in the stewards area, and Robert Gordon has been black flagged. So we now right on board with Burgoyne once again, as Gordon is going to serve that black flag from behind the 021 and start to drop down positions. Michael running 7th place and looking up at the leader as well, starting to stretch away. This is looking familiar, DJ.
Yeah, it really kind of is. Same story repeating itself that we saw last season. James Franznik just absolutely tearing away from the field here, doing a really good job. It's already an 8-second gap back to Komatz.
His best lap is right now almost 2 seconds quicker than P2's best lap. So Franznik has got a fair bit of pace in hand. Chad Dick sitting in 3rd, trying to keep up with Komatz, but he slips up off of turn 6. Scott Kessel is right in his mirrors as you see them fly through the swift chicane down to the hairpin with that tricky curved braking zone.
gets it done there, but it's really a tough place to try and get that thing done. Like you say, the guys really have to put a lot of balance on the car, and this is one of those sections that requires a ton of practice for them to get it right, of course, and it's not a place you want to be racing someone side by side into that area. This is another tough one here. This chicane is actually pretty difficult because it's easy to unload that car like he just did.
Yeah, that behind them, I think that was Andrew Smiley losing yet more positions in the 167. There you see him trying to make his way back to the track safely. Thankfully, he's got a little bit of space there off of the chicane. And I think this one, DJ, was a little bit different. It looks like there was no contact.
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, we're here, and he may have had a little bit of help. So let's check out this replay. Now, that's the 599 right behind him of Mike Sachs.
No.
That's a little bit of a punt there from Sachs to send Smiley around.
Yeah, you're right. Big old punt to the rear end, unfortunately. So wonderful to see yet another of the penalties being handed out back to Kessel once again. Whoa, deep into the brakes on turn 3 and into the infield section. That actually bites him as he starts to lose time. Looks like Chad, Dick, and Komatz now have their fight to themselves here, Rachel.
Yeah, they do, and it's a good place for it, and he'll get the inside there. The H2 machine from zone 1 getting through there. Oh, yes, he did. Just about secured that one. That was a bit of an interesting positioning there, because he had the undercut, but he really bit a little too hard to the exit of that and almost lost the position again.
And that cost them a bit of time because Kessel has regained it very quickly. He lost a number of tenths, and then there it is, right back up to the rear wing of that red and black number 82. Going through that almost kind of useless chicane, I have to say, through there as they pick up speed and then hit the binders once again down the back stretch. Let's see whether or not Kessel can manage to get himself within range to attack as they come around onto the oval. Ooh, he's very close. This is looking mighty good for the 48.
Yeah, he's got a great run there, does Kessel. He's just got to try to tuck up behind Chad Dick here, see if there is anything to be gained. Dick looking like he's got a little bit more speed on the straightaways, though. That's the problem. Weaving that car back up onto the high banking. It just looks like Kessel, when he needs to close in, isn't able to on these long stretches, and it's through the twisty bits that he's able to really gain in.
As we come back to Lacombe now, who is still trying to make up a bit of time here. Remember, he started on the front row. He's just about to get into the top 10. If he can just get by McCune. McCune goes defensive down into turn 3, but he is nice and tidy into there. I don't think this is going to be a pass from Mark, or is it? Maybe it was too far into the corner as McCune starts to slow. I think that's a slowdown penalty.
Yeah, I think it could be. That's one of those bits you can bite a bit much on this track, and the track itself will bite you back, especially if you cut off that piece of edge there. Now, Scott Kessel's a car I really want to talk about here, as this is second, third, and fourth in position here for the race, so this is important positioning here. Kessel's been desperate all race long. He's been a little excitable. He's been involved in a couple of moments here where he's, well, a little overzealous at times. But he's trying to put something forward here. You've got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, just your own eggs, not somebody else's.
Exactly, and Kessel has a friend behind him, but that is a lapped car. Interestingly enough, Mike Sachs, who probably would have been somewhere around here if he hadn't have been involved in that opening wreck, but he's now a lap down from that battle for P2, as once again, already 160 miles an hour here as they go past the pit exit and around the banking flat out in GT3 cars. Nothing like what you've got in stock cars. And just hovering around that white line all the way out to the outside, and mighty on the brakes for Chad Dick. Can he manage to get this done? Now he's going to be attacked. Here goes Kessel to his inside, and Kessel is going to surprise him.
And Joe, we have been seeing Kessel lining up that moves multiple times. He has been very, very late into the braking zone, going into 3 and 4. Just watch this commitment here from Scott Kessel. Oh, but they've tangled. If we go back live, there is a big kerfluffle up front.
Oh, and I think it was all 3 of them. Komatz involved, Chad Dick involved. Something really erupted here. I think this started with Komatz. Oh, it was 2 different lines between Steve and Scott. Kessel, unfortunately, taking the inside, and the 2 trying such different lines through 5 and 6 seems to have cost them. Here it is, Rachel. Oh, just messy.
Oh yeah, that's not a great positioning, and it's a bit of a conflict of positioning there. They just weren't quite sure where the car was, and it really just, that turned things upside down. And it's a shame to see that up towards the front of the field as well.
How about Freddie Lopez, by the way? He gained a whole bunch of spots from that, and not only that, he's been surviving all the other action. He's up from 13th on the grid here to second place. Behind him, that is Sachs, so that's not for position again. So he's got no threat from behind. This is basically, he's got to cruise on from here and try to see what that will net him in the end. And once again, Andrew Smiley is in a bit of a tussle. This is Kaufman in the 15 just in front of him.
Yes, it is. And as they draft on, it looks like Komatz and Lacombe both coming down pit lane. Not sure. It looks like, at least for Lacombe, that is a black flag penalty.
So they're starting to hand it out once again. And down into the corner, a little bit to the inside from Smiley, not taking no for an answer. And despite being extremely shallow, he is through the 167 into fifth place. Kaufman now has McCune behind him as well. And McCune sees Froby gaining up. So the zone 9 driver off the corner, but he spins the wheels, unfortunately, and that will scupper him.
Yeah, that will. That's a really bad place to get that to happen to you, and it can happen super easy in this car. They have to be very much aware of that. It makes it a very lively but fun racing experience. A bit of a wiggle there, as you see, for the 55, as they're really trying to put this thing in, and it's just, you got to balance that power. You've really got to be careful with it. Zone 3 is Peach State regions. David Purdy here, 10th place. Purdy currently up 2 spots from 12th where he started, so he's going forwards. It's not as much as someone like, say, Friobi, who's up 9 spots.
Notch another one to the commentator's curse. I shouldn't have been praising Freddie Lopez so much. He just had a spin. He's fallen to 4th. Chad Dick now is in P2. Amazingly, that is a full 25 seconds behind James Franznick, though, at this stage. James has just been scampering away. There you see the end of the incident, and I'm not sure if this is a single car incident. There's somebody behind him. Did he get help?
Well, that's Mike Sachs behind him. No, he just lost that on his own, it looked like. I think carried a little bit too much speed into the corner here, Joe. A little bit of blinking in front of Lopez. Let's just watch here from the hood of Sachs. Yeah, just too much speed into the corner, locked up the rear brakes ever so slightly, and the rear end of that Porsche just said, I have had enough.
You know, at this rate, Sachs might wind up in the top 10 anyways. Everybody in front of him keeps having issues. So he's actually up into 17th at this point, but he's still a lap down. So there's a lot of cars in front for him to try and do much. Franznick, no cars in front of him, no cars around him at all. He is just all on his lonesome, Rachel, and just having a nice sunny Wednesday evening stroll.
It's got to be nice to be Franznick right now because he is cruising 26.6 seconds right now. He's having a Sunday drive, a very fast Sunday drive on a Wednesday, but yeah, it must be nice to live in his world.
Details. But as we cross the 25-minute mark of tonight's race, it's time to bring you the Hagerty Motorsports Race Break. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared towards enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive but thrive well into the future. Hagerty, let's drive together. Up at the top, as we mentioned, it is James Franznick who continues to lead from the pole position. It's looking like his race to lose, but we've said things like that before, and you can't count your chickens until they hatch. After that, you have Chad Dick in the second position there, in the number 82. Started this race from 8th position, has definitely taken advantage of a lot of drivers falling by the wayside, but he's fallen victim to it himself. As you can see, the damage on the front of that red machine definitely hampering him a little bit on top end speed. From there, it is third place. Michael Burgoyne in third position, also gaining a lot of spots, up from 9th place. Been looking a little bit more safe out on the track, hasn't been involved in much, but has made some great moves to get him up to the podium spots. Then you've got Freddie Lopez. We saw him as high as second place, but he could not hold it down. A spin has sent him backwards and down to fourth. Still going to be a great day considering he started from P13. You've got Andrew Smiley. I'm not sure if he is smiling here right now. Started from 10th. He is up to 5th. But another driver that maybe could have had a little bit more, but mistakes seem to be the big bugbear. A lot of drivers out here today just losing out on what could be much better finishes. You've got Eric Kaufman in the 6th position currently in the number 15 car. Again, from 14th place, come up a lot of spots. Right now, he is having to deal with a little bit of pressure from behind, unfortunately, because he's got Bruce Froby sitting in 7th, trying to see if he can get just that one little bit higher in that gray, red, and white machine, which he might do now as he's going to be able to get to the inside. And as he outbrakes him, it looks like he's got a spot, and there's an incident in front of him. He has to dodge around. It looks like he's through, and that means that's going to hand us off now down to 8th place here with DJ.
Yes, and a lot happening here. So it looks like, as we take a look at that replay right now, Andrew McCune going to be the one who comes back in 8th place right now, the 55. Our second biggest mover on the day. He is up 22 positions. Is Stacy Iwata just able to get by him, the number 4, doing a good job. More calamity down into that corner. Excuse me, that's a little bit of a replay I think we're watching of it. Just a lot of craziness going there. So Iwata in 8th, and Robert Palmer now, your driver in 9th place, the number 53, up 7 positions on the day. The Oregon region driver is behind them. Well, we already talked about him a little bit, but Andrew Smiley currently runs in P10 as of now. He was one of the drivers that was involved in that little spin coming through 3 and 4. In P11, now that is going to be Andrew McCune, 55, about 2.5 seconds behind Andrew Smiley. He's up 9 positions on the day. The Rocky Mountain Region Zone 9 driver doing a very good job to just keep a good and steady race. Now we get into some of the drivers who have had some rough days out there, starting with P12. This is Mark Lacombe. He is down 10 on the day. Remember just how high he was running earlier, so he's on a little bit of a recovery drive here, as is Steve Komatz, who runs back in 13th position. 210, working his way through that little chicane right there. And to round out your top 14, well, that's Chris Sari, who is in the number 20 car, down in 14th, Golden Gate region driver, the Californian, taking out some cones as he works his way through the infield section. Rachel.
Thank you very much. In 15th place tonight is going to be, I believe, Robert Benson here from the Rennsport region of Zone 1, the Wildcats driver. A 71 machine. He's had a busy race. He's down a lap, but he is up 2 spots so far. So he is net gaining in the race at the moment. Behind him is Mike Sachs from Metro New York region, also of Zone 1. A lot of those guys in this series. Mike has had a rough race. He's down from 3rd, so a drop of 14 places for him. The Metro New York driver not having a great day. Scott Kessel, who's been incredibly busy today, the 48 from the Northeast region there of Zone 1. Scott Kessel down 14 as well from 4th place, so another rough day for guys who started at the front of this one. 18th is Robert Gordon from the Chesapeake region of Zone 1. That 14 car started in 15th. He's dropped down 4 here to be running in, 3 to be running in 18th place. Last 2 we have are off track, so those are going to be our last runners here, apart from Jack Stevenson in 20th from the Chicago region of Zone 13. His driving is nothing like a deep dish pizza, it's better. But at the moment, Jack Stevenson is going to be down 2 spots, unfortunately.
Yeah, we had a problem with Freddie Lopez, who actually, well, Lopez is able to get back out on track. I think he had some connection issues, so the 777. Interestingly enough, despite that, you can see he's still running in 18th spot. But this concludes the Midway Race Report, brought to you by Haggerty Motorsports. And we have had a couple of, I think, of our scheduled stops in the process of this. I see a number of drivers now with a pit stop next to their name on my timing screen, but we're waiting on the top 8 to come in and affect their stops. We did say we think about 25 minutes that you can make in these cars. So considering we started about 25 minutes, I guess that makes sense that some of them are trying to run it in the reverse order. Franznik, who is up here in the lead, now up to 24 seconds ahead of Chad Dick. And just continuing on his lovely little drive. That car behind him, DJ, that is Komat's. Our first car lapped down 10th place. Half the field has been lapped already.
Yeah, Joe, and it's really a combination just of the calm, cool, and collected drive here that Franznik has been able to put together, as well as just the kerfluffles that we've seen up and down the field. This track really catching drivers out a lot. And, it's not even just sort of losing your way through this almost autocross-like infield section. It's drivers just being a little over-aggressive. We've seen a lot of contact here early on.
And I suppose, in a way, we are probably going to be losing this track at some point in the near future, with Auto Club being reprofiled soon, being changed to a much smaller track, which means this portion of it is going to be developed for other things. We don't know what yet, but I believe they are planning on selling it off. Franznik on to the banking and off to the start-finish line. This is already ticking off to lap 15 for him, but still not seeing any signs of him heading down into pit lane. Unfortunately, Rachel, it looks like a lot of those pit stops that we have seen have kind of stolen plenty of our battles out on track. I'm not seeing a whole lot of drivers that are close to one another now.
Yeah, they have. I think it's really settled that out. I think a lot of these people have done exactly as we thought, and they've gone for the safe half-time pit, which means track is separated out relatively well. And with a couple of people going a little bit later, a couple of people going a little bit earlier, it has meant we have just lost that. People have ended up coming out into clean traffic. In fact, I believe a lot of them will be using all car backwards there on the exit of the chicane. But I think a lot of them will be using a certain dashboard tool to decide when to pit.
No doubt about that. As we're watching Iwata. Oh, what happened to Purdy here? And is that for position? It is. That is Palmer managing to go by. And we've seen this a couple times now. I'm not sure what it is about this chicane, DJ, but we've seen, what is this, the third spin that we've had here?
Well, it's a decreasing radius corner, Joe, so you want to try to carry as much momentum as you can into the corner before it tightens up. And the problem is drivers are just carrying too much of that speed into the corner. That's causing the rear end to get unstable as they try to fly through there. Here you can see just that little loop around right there. That's exactly what it was. Carried too much speed in. Didn't really clip the curb or anything, but what this has done is it's now presented a little bit of a battle as Purdy's going to try to get by Iwata, but outbreaks himself.
Oh, goes in a little deep, unfortunately. I think they have a pink drink that you can have if you have an unstable back end. But anyways, as we come down into the braking once again, Lacombe is now trying to fight with McCune. This is for 8th position, the 55, not going defensive. And Lacombe is going to try and see if he can stick his nose in down into turn 5, but nothing doing.
You know, I'd comment on the racing right now, but I'm still trying to struggle with your last joke. That's a good one. But no, they're side by side here and trying to find opportunity, but it's going to be close, but no cigar yet. 90 is looking for an opportunity, just can't find his way through. Lacombe just hasn't got that door open yet. But this is going to be one of our closest battles we actually have got here, and he's really pushing for it. Nope, more cones.
Through the cones once again, and Lacombe not nearly close enough to that 55. Oh, and Froby is in. So the 130 coming down to affect his strategy. And look at how long it takes to come down this incredibly expansive pit lane. Looking for that number 130, and there we just saw a glance of it on the little markers at their pit stalls onto the front stretch. Lacombe, again, just doesn't seem, DJ, like he is in a position to try and attack here.
No, and we've seen that quite a bit, Joe. The run off of that final corner just doesn't seem to provide the right amount of attack, as Purdy also coming down pit lane here, it would appear. It doesn't provide it, but we've got to go back to that battle with Lacombe and McCune, because it is side by side, and it looks like Lacombe able to get by, but they're going to be closer to the braking zone.
Once again, very shallow there from Andrew. And I will have to eat my words. I thought the slipstream was not going to be powerful enough from that far back, but look at that. He just gains on him, finds the outside, And for McCune, there was little he could do unless he really wanted to venture into hitting the side of that car as he was chopped off at the apex. So Lacombe now up to 6. Remember, started in 2nd place. This is a recovery drive for this 19.
Yeah, he's been really putting on a good show here after the incidents early on. He's driven incredibly well here, so I'm excited to see what he can pull back from this. It's not going to be what he would have started with, but it's been really strong. And here's Peach State Region's David Purdy of Zone 3, putting on a good show so far. Running 14th right now, he's trying to fight back here. This is another one who started at the front. He like, of course, with Lacombe, really running up in that top 5. Bad race for him at the start, but this is looking strong, at least in terms of his recovery performance, so maybe these two are ones to watch going forwards.
Also, Stacy Iwata is now into pit lane in the number 4. So that's the latest. Our highest driver to have pitted is Steve Komatz. There you see the Canada West region driver looking for their stall and hits it nicely, not overshooting. Taking fuel, we're not expecting any tires for such a short race. Waiting patiently for the time to tick up. 11, 12, and off at about 14. Franznik is now in. So this is our leader now pitting.
Yes, it is. Driving through all the stalls there. Not sure if that is against the sporting code or not. We'll have to go back and double check that. But one way or the other, the leader coming down pit lane, as is Chad Dick. I see Burgoyne coming in, waiting for Robert Palmer. It looks like he is probably going to be in as well. I think this is the exact end of the cycle.
Yep, so we'll see pretty much everybody joining. And we've got confirmation there is no rule about going through pit stalls, so they are allowed to do that. That said, if you unfortunately put your rival off by kind of blocking their view, they're not going to be terribly happy about that. So there is some sportsmanship to maybe leaving a little bit open. I see Palmer now coming in. We got a ways to wait before the 55 of McCune gets to the entrance, but the last of them are getting the splash of fuel and ready to go from here. And it is still Franznik leading by a massive 20 seconds, maybe even more than that, because Dick is now starting to get up to speed.
Yeah, he's going for it. Go ahead,
Sorry, Rich. No, go ahead.
No, the pit stall thing is something that's really kind of a big thing to me. Is these guys are trying to keep the car straight. They want to have a really quick stop, which means they have to have it all straightened out early on, because trying to dive into your stall at the last second, you can end up really over-angled and it can cause a lot of problems.
Oh, and you know what? Andrew McCune has been able to go an extra lap. He's the only one here to get to lap 18. So hopefully that doesn't bite him. Hopefully he's got the fuel calculated right here. And he can get to the pits as we ride on board. And it doesn't sound like he's sputtering, although he's kind of going to the middle of the track. That's not really the racing line.
Yeah, not exactly what it is, but he is looking like he's lifting and coasting a little bit there, coming down into turn 8, but he spins it!
Oh, no, and that will cost him some fuel even. They'll be able to get it going. Now Robert Gordon, who is a lap down, comes up from behind. And that car behind him, that is Burgoyne. That is for position, but Michael is taking his pit stop. Now Chris Sari's in here, and I think this might be a second stop for him, because I didn't see anybody else that needed a stop, and he's taking tires, which again is not the call.
No, it isn't. And interesting to do that. I think some of these guys may have left it on by accident. That could be an explanation there. I wouldn't say this is a viable race to take tires in these cars. The advantage just isn't there. It costs too much time.
And going very slow into the pit entry there, McCune going to lose a little bit of time as he was extremely cautious to get to the pit limiter. Franznik, as we said earlier, still your leader. And there's the gap on the left-hand side of your screen at 27 seconds now between himself and Chad Dick. McCune did make it in without sputtering. Nicely done on the fuel saving. Our very own Scott Dixon out here for today's race, but where will that put him is the question after all is said and done. Through the infield for the rest of the fields right now. And coming back on to the track, is this actually one of our cars that is going to be racing with McCune that we're looking at here? This is this is our leader, Franznik, that we're looking at. Lopez in front of him. So this is actually going to put McCune a lap down. Oh, it's a long stop for Andrew.
He's taking tires, Joe. He did not unclick that tire button. McCune took tires, and that forced him right down the order.
Well, another rookie error there for our drivers. And for those that aren't aware, the GT3 class cars in iRacing are not allowed to take fuel and tires at the same time. So hence why it adds time on to your pit stop. And it's a good probably 30 seconds or so that gets tacked on, trying to wait for that to finish. Franznik just trying to carefully deal with the traffic. Definitely a skill in its own in racing, especially since this is not F1 rules here, Rachel. They don't have to leap out of the way.
No, they don't. And it's a courtesy thing, but most people do. It's sporting. So, yeah, just about making sure you could find them at the right place as well.
Which he's done so far. Looking through the field to see if we have any other battles that are going to be erupting. This is on board with Benson that we're watching in the 71. I see Mike Sachs starting to catch up to McCune, so the driver now on fresh tires will be able to scamper away from the 599, and that might actually be a help in the end. There's Sachs in the 599 catching up to Andrew McCune. Mike, who had an off in the very first braking zone through turns 3 and 4, has ever since been paying for his sins and has only been able to get into 14th.
Yeah, and a little bit of lap traffic up ahead of them is going to slow them down as well as they work their way around here. Looks like Sachs has just got the better line coming through that 13, 14, 15 complex as they work their way around now through 16 and 17. He's going to try to go wide around.
And is McCune coming in? It looks like he's coming in a second time. I wonder if he's sped on pit lane here, or maybe he's got a drive-through penalty, because they do have an incident limit in this series. It's every 12 incidents, and they will be given a drive-through. But yeah, McCune now trundling his way down a piddly 35 miles an hour in the pits here, Rachel, as we continue to watch Sachs get another position up to 13th.
Yeah, and that pit road is so slow with the limiter sitting there on you. And looking at Purdy here from the Peach State region, chasing down the car right ahead of him as Palmer just up the racetrack, just inside a second, actually, these two. So opportunity for the draft this time around the front straight here through the tri-oval. He'll come, the D-shaped section of the track. Auto Club is actually one big D. There's really, if you think about it, 2 corners on the track in the actual oval layout. That's 2 and 3 on the back straight there. They're much tighter, so that whole front straight is flat out and go. You're not really worrying about braking or letting off the gas as they're going to come in on the back straight here. 2 of those very different. They'll have to focus on that one, but the field is running through here and running into those final 5 minutes now, and wow, 29 seconds, nearly 30 seconds for Franznik.
Wow, just amazing pace out of him as we continue to watch Purdy, who that is Palmer in front of him. This is for position, a 7th place fight, and 6 minutes left to go on the clock. So Robert up ahead of him. There you see in that number 53 has got to get a move on, doesn't want to lose another valuable spot, and a very shallow entry here from Purdy. That's way far back for a pass. Not sure if he's just trying to straighten out that braking there or what, but an unusual line.
Yeah, not exactly what you would expect. Normally, you want to take that entry into turn 8 a little bit wider and then slowly bleed on the brakes as you apply the steering. Now working his way through that 11 and 12 that has really caught some drivers out here today. Purdy just trying to catch up in as much as he can to Palmer. These two pitted about 2 seconds away from each other, or 2 laps away from each other. So they're pretty close here on strategy. It's just a matter of if Purdy's able to catch.
All these poor cone friends. DJ's going to need a drink after this as we come around the front stretch once again. And we got another battle here down into turn 5. This is Kessel and Sari behind the car of Komats.
Yeah, getting in there as much as he can, and last couple of moments, this is where we'll see people be a little more desperate with the last 5 minutes remaining. Every position that's close, they will try and go for, oh, Kessel closed the door very late there. Not sure how much he saw of the car beside him, but he slammed that shut right as he got through the corner, so a brave move.
I think he saw him. He made a pass with that one. That was great stuff from the 48. And now he is going to try and see if he can at least get a lap back from Komats, maybe, because he certainly looks quick here. And poor Chris Sari is left to wonder what happened as he got beaten that game of chicken down into the chicane. Coming on to the main straight, the slipstream going to be a little bit more in favor for Kessel, but now Sari's blue and red machine finds itself getting a handy tow.
Yes, it does, and it's going to be a little bit of a double tow here as up in front of them, I believe. That is going to be Komats. That is not for position, but they are going to be able to try to take it. That may be just the help that Kessel needs, but Sari looking very aggressive, trying to flirt with the apron there down on the inside.
Is he going to be able to use him as a pick? They're going to go on either side, and Sari is going to try and take it shallow into the corner, but this is going to be tough to complete it. He does! Somehow, Chris Sari is not sorry for that one. He'll take 14th place.
Ouch. That pun was... That was, yeah. Guess we're doing that this season, but that was great move there by Chris Sari. I loved that. That was just a fantastic piece of car placement. He put the car exactly where it needed to be, and he held his position too. I mean, he knew he was going to be predictable for the other guys, and he just carried the right momentum through there to make it happen, and absolutely loved seeing that.
You got a problem with Purdy. The number 10 was facing backwards in turns 3 and 4, the entry chicane into the infield. He falls to 9th from that. Let's see what caused this. And, well, around she goes once again.
Looks like maybe a little bit of wheel hop there coming up and over the curbing, Joe, and just a little bit too much speed to bring in. So Purdy's going to be back down in 9th. Right now, we focus back on Scott Kessel, who's trying to see if he can gain that 14th position back from Chris Sari, but Sari gets a better exit coming out of the final corner.
I thought that Kessel was going to be able to run away here, but Sari has got the bit between his teeth. 2 minutes left to go. Where is Franznik? They're running about 133 laps. This actually might be close enough we're going to get the white flag next time by. And I think we will, if I'm looking at it correctly.
I think we're going to get exactly that here. So one more time around at least for this one after this time by. So it will definitely give him more opportunity, but it'll be a little frantic opportunity there.
Yep, we're under 133 now. So white flag being readied by Barney as Franznik comes across the line. 1 to go in the opening round of the Zone Group Challenge for PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty Motorsports. And you can see this curved banking here, just able to hug that bottom line. Looks as calm as you'll like, with 31 seconds back to Chad Dick, who I want to give credit to. Chad did not have a perfect race, but is looking at second place, even though he's a ways behind. Here, yeah, look at how far back this is, DJ. He's only just now crossing the start-finish line.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. And kudos here to Chad as well, who's got 15 seconds over Michael Burgoyne. So a big, big gap there as well, really across the whole top 3 here.
So James coming into the infield now, and as there was Burgoyne crossing the line, as now we look at James's number 76 through the hairpin. And so Froby just got a spot from Komats, and Komats spun. Komats in the 210 coming to the white flag has turned the car around. He's able to get it going without hitting anything, but there is a valuable position lost for the 210 car.
Yeah, I think it is, and Ferguson might have picked that up, but he was quite a distance back, so I don't know if he actually dumped that. I think Komats kept it. It was a lap car, I think, that came past him. Yeah.
So we got our leader coming around. James Franznik takes the checkered flag on the opening event of the season. Victory for the number 76 machine, and now we sit and wait for the rest of the field to come around.
Just start twiddling your thumbs here. And Joe, only 8 drivers remaining on the lead lap. Robert Palmer, the last to make it, but this is the 82 of Chad Dick as he works his way out of those final couple of corners. Careful to not let the car drift up too much and get a little bit wonky on the banking. There, he's able to take it down, and he will come across the line. Chad Dick in the 82 will take second.
Michael Burgoyne going to get the last step on the podium. That's not for position. Behind him, that's Scott Kessel. So the 0-2-1 down and across the line. Going to be able to spray the champagne today. Nice day for him, up from ninth on the grid. Almost a podium for the car behind him, Bruce Froby. How about this? 17th to 4th. My goodness.
Yeah, fantastic running from this, guys. And if the rest of the races this season are this exciting, we'll be in for a real treat here. But a phenomenal run. Krasnick just man of the class here today.
Ooh, battle for position. Ferguson ahead of Lacombe, and it's not enough slipstream as Ferguson takes 6th, Lacombe 7th, and the last car in the lead lap going to be Robert Palmer. That's going to finish up the race and give us our results here for today. And event 1 sees James Franznick take a victory with an impressive 31-second gap back to Chad Dick. After that, it is Michael Burgoyne in P3. Bruce Froby was 4th, up from 17th. Steve Komatz, P5 for him. It'll be Jeff Ferguson in 5th position as we had a swap around. Somebody must have had a penalty there at the end. Interesting stuff. Lacombe winds up in 6th. His recovery drive at least netted him close to a top 5. Robert Palmer was 7th. After that, Bruce Froby in the 8th position. Last driver on the lead lap, Eric Kaufman, was 9th, and DJ Andrew Smiley will round out your top 10.
Indeed, in 11th, it was Stacey Owada, followed by Mike Sachs with David Purdy and Chris Sari behind them. Scott Kessel, P15, followed by Robert Benson and Robert Gordon. Your first driver, 2 laps down. Freddie Lopez had a rough race to finish in 18th, as did Andrew McCune, with Jack Stevenson and Steve Linz, your final finisher here today.
What a sad day for Steve, because his was honestly set by the lack of consistency that he had at the start. But I believe we've got our 3rd place finisher ready to talk to us, Michael Burgoyne here. And Michael, congratulations on a podium finish, up from 3rd place. It seemed like a lot of drivers out there having trouble, but you not quite as many as some of the front runners. Was this a case of just trying to keep her steady?
You know, it was just keep it steady, keep it on the road, stay out of trouble.
We were kind of wondering how many drivers are familiar with this track, and obviously it was on the schedule for Series 7. How often have you run this kind of weird infield that we've got?
You know, this is a weird one, but I've run this one probably 10 or 12 different times in different cars, and so there is some familiarity there.
Well, that certainly seems to pay dividends there. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to for helping you get up to 3rd today?
Yeah, I'd shout out to all the guys out in the Wild West Zone. We work hard as a team and lots of good coaching out there, and I really appreciate it.
And that was our 3rd place finisher, Michael Burgoyne, here today. Up next, DJ has Chad Dick ready to talk to him. A bit of up and down, but still a 2nd place.
Indeed, Chad, a little bit of a crazy start there to get up the race, but after the way everything started, you got to feel good coming home P2.
Yeah, I had a tough time qualifying today. I had a couple of slowdowns, and so I didn't put up my fastest lap, and it just worked out in my favor. Both of those wrecks I had to drive through, it was a lot of smoke, no clear sight, and I don't know how I made it through, so I'll take it.
Well, take it indeed. I mean, and in those closing stages of the race, when you're running home P2, were you trying to catch down James up ahead, or was it really just kind of a coast and let's bring this home on the podium mode?
Yeah, we did the math. He had too much pace on me, about a second and a half each lap. So unless I forgot to bring my rocket ship, I didn't think I was going to catch him. So I just wanted to race clean and finish the race in P2.
Well, we head to a wildly different track next time out in the form of Barber Motorsports Park. How do you feel about that? It's kind of a love it or hate it sort of circuit.
Yeah, I love it and I hate it. There's a couple of turns in there I absolutely love, and there's a couple that give me a ton of problems. So I got my homework cut out for me.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck, Chad. I feel the same way about it, if I'm honest. But anybody you'd like to thank for this P2 run here tonight?
Oh, you guys would play me off if I tried to list them all. But Chris Braun, who was my co-pilot tonight, my spotter, he was fantastic. But I'd also say, I mean, there were so many pro drivers and instructors who helped me these last couple of weeks from all the different zones. I learned something from all of them and all the other drivers. So it's just too many people to list. But it's fun being on the learning curve.
Well, we look forward to seeing that curve continue to grow and grow for you, Chad. That was Chad Dick, your second place finisher here today. And now, Rachel, I believe you've caught up with our winner, James Frasnick.
I certainly did. Thank you very much, James Frasnick. What can we say about this? Oh, go on.
Frasnick.
Frasnick. I do apologize, Mr. Frasnick. Nearly, or just over 30 seconds lead today over Chad Dick in second place. What is it about this track that is really not a commonly run track in the racing circuit that really does it for you?
Well, first I gotta say my mom passed away last week, and this is for her. I'm just like racing with a broken heart right now. But we had a lot of zone group practices, and I gotta thank my zone group team, man. There's a lot of pros in there that, I just listen to, follow their lead, a lot of good instruction, and my good friend on here, Enrico Gregorato, man, he's been there for me, man. So I shout out to him. He's a good guy.
Oh, we're absolutely sorry to hear that here in the booth. And
but it's my therapy. It's my therapy. It's definitely my therapy. I get on here and my mind just clears, and I don't think about anything other than just hitting my marks and getting around the track.
Well, hopefully it does something for you. And
no, I appreciate it.
For joining us. Thank you for a fantastic race to watch out there. Anything you'd like to say, or anybody you'd like to thank before you go?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. James Frasnick coming home today with the win.
Obviously, a very meaningful win for him as well. But we mentioned it earlier, there's more racing yet to come. The sport class is up next here and the Zone Group Challenge. Make sure and stick around for more of the PCA Sim Racing Series presented by Hagerty. Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway. We're here at the Roval version of this famous oval course, and we are, of course, watching the PCA Sim Racing Series Zone Group Challenge presented by Hagerty. We're now on the sport class, and we're actually getting ready to handle the last of our qualifying here for this sport class, as most of the drivers are just getting a lap in, and Enrico Gregorato is currently provisionally on that pole position. And man, DJ, what a race that first one was. We saw a lot of excitement, but we also saw one dominant driver. I'm not sure if we're going to see that this time because it looks a lot closer up at the top.
Yeah, we are seeing gaps here in the tenths and even hundredths of a second in between drivers, so it's going to be very, very close up at the top. As you said, there's Gregorato as he works his way around now the Zone 6 driver, trying to see if he can improve on his 132.8. He's going to be beaten, though, by Garrett Taylor, who's able to cross over the line. Let's see if Enrico's got anything to respond with.
No, looks like that one was slower by about 0.2, and now Jake Geiger finds himself on the top spot by 0.2 over Garrett Taylor. It is continuing to trickle down here, and will we see that time continue to drop? We've got Spence, Boccieri, Pippin, and De Silva, who still need to set a time currently, and looks like De Silva a bit slow on his lap. He is still down in 23rd as now we look at Chris Pippin as well in the number 42. I think, yes, he is on a flyer here. He's got about 4 minutes left. That should be enough time, Rachel, for him to get at least 2 laps. I'm not sure if he's got enough time for all 3, though.
I don't know. We'll have to find out. But Carl Boccieri is one I'll be definitely thinking to get a good lap. I'm thinking you'll see him top 5, most likely top 10 at most. But right now, Geiger's looking strong. Garrett Taylor, very strong driver there. Gregorato, very quick guy we've seen, of course, and Barua. These are some top-notch drivers in his class. And let's not forget Kim Frick back in 6th place. He is one of those guys that is always storming for this thing. Look at Avji Barua there from Mid-Ohio region of zone number 4. And there's Naga region of zone number 1, the Wildcats. Kim Frick in that 66 machine. He's always one to keep an eye on. That guy is a wily little fox.
Indeed, and yeah, that Mid-Ohio region, definitely one I'm going to be watching out for as well. I'm a little partial being from that region myself, and Adam Spence in the number 55 had his first lap deleted. Pippin, by the way, that we saw cross the line, also had his lap deleted. Boccieri, first 2 laps deleted. He is down to his last run to try and get a quick one in. And it looks like, yeah, here we are with the 80 now, DJ, hoping desperately that this one stays within the boundaries.
Yes, indeed. And remember, Boccieri, the winner last time we went to Montreal in Season 7. Nice little flick there through that non-chicane. Now he's going to try to take it into this tricky portion of the track that we always talk about. See if he's able to roll it up a little bit wide there on corner exit, but Carl not flinching at all. Just the stone face of concentration.
Seen a few more drivers that have been able to improve in the meantime. Holland up to 19th on that last one, and just about Carl's turn as he crosses the line. Chris Pippin gets a 33.9. He goes up to 14th, and Boccieri, no, it got deleted. He was a little too far off somewhere, and Carl is the only driver that has failed to set a time. He is literally going to be gridded at the back, Rachel.
Yeah, certainly is there, and that's going to be a tricky position to cycle things around here. Wasn't expecting to see that. I thought maybe we'd see something from him, but it's going to be a big mountain to climb, 26th place to the front. I don't know if that's possible with these guys. They're very fast. Ankerberg is on, though, 10th place. That's one I was expecting to be a little bit higher here. I'll have to see how this goes.
Antonio De Silva is coming around, only has a single lap on the board currently, and there you see the 5 coming back around. This is Gregorato, who I think has already completed his 3 laps. So yeah, he's going to pit in this time. De Silva is down into the timing line, a 34.8. That's a big improvement right there. Unfortunately, that far back in the pack, that's only into 22nd for him. Do we have anybody else that is going to set a time here? Chris Pippin's going to come back around here in the 42, it looks like, DJ.
Yes, he is piloting his way around. His last lap was his quickest, so I'm not sure here if he's going to be able to go anything. I'm not seeing any green sector times for him as he's going to come across the line right now. Let's see if Pippin is able to improve it all. Doesn't look like it there for the driver of the 42.
That's it for our qualifying. Nobody else able to take a lap from here. So the 40 seconds will tick down to 0, and the grid will be set here today. And see if we're ready to go through that at this stage of our 26 drivers, a slightly bigger field than what we had before. in the challenge class. And of course, if you're not familiar here with the Porsche Club of America, the classes continue to step up as they go in skills and speed. So this is kind of the next level. Those were your entry level guys, your Formula Fords, if you will, that were racing in the challenge. And now we go a little bit faster with Jake Geiger on the top of the pole for the challenge class. Garrett Taylor will start from second place. It'll be Enrico Gregorato in P3, followed by Avijit Barua in fourth. You've got Sebastiano Balestieri in fifth. Then it's Adam Gerling in the sixth position. Kim Frick, P7 for him, as David Kaufman starts from eighth. Then you've got Adam Spence, P9, and Ankerberg's own DJ in 10th position.
In 11th, it's going to be Guillermo Mungia, followed by Robert Walton with Ari Moore Jr. and Chris Pippin in the row behind them. Jeff Rosenthal will be 15th, followed by Jeff Williams with Val Asensio in 17th and Joseph Ebers in 18th. Craig Smith is 19th, and Adam Holland is going to round out your top 20, Rachel.
21st tonight is Ryan McGee there with Antonio da Silva in 22nd, with 23rd place being James Legault. Tom Crane in 24th, Benjamin Fong in 25th, and Carl Boccieri not sitting a time in 26th and last.
All right, just waiting for the last of them to find their way to the grid. Looks like they've all popped out there, so that Porsche pace car should be taking off now. And we are on our way for 40 more minutes. So I got to ask, what did we learn after that first race for the Zone Group Challenge, DJ? What did you take from that one?
Be very, very careful going into turn 3 and 4. Very easy to overshoot the braking area there and to get into another driver. And also be very, very cautious going into 11 and 12. We saw a lot of drivers carrying too much speed through there and just looping the car around. So those are the two big danger zones that I would say to be watching out for.
So here we see the onboard once again with Carl starting dead last on the field here today. And the pace car is just getting ready to peel off. They have to wait for the call from the flag stand to go. And Geiger is going to be the one on the point, hoping for a good start here as they all get lined up on the D oval, leading down to that start line, holding them for quite a while once again. And there's the green flag. Jake Geiger gets on the loud pedal, and Garrett Taylor is very good behind him. Is he going to be able to get a slipstream maybe to try and make a pass here? He's going to duck down below. It looks like those behind him as well, very fast, but Gregorato, no place. He's boxed in as Barua has got the high line and is starting to pull ahead. But Rachel, we now come down into the treacherous turns 3 and 4.
This is where we had trouble on that first lap in the last race there, of course, so keeping an eye on this. Challenge was tricky. This is a big lot of cars. I would be shocked if something doesn't happen as we are 2, 3, and in places 4 wide coming into this really slow speed corner section. There's a little bit, lots of cone death, but I think every car cleared this completely clean.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any spins quite yet, but we're not out of the woods. We're down through 5 and 6, and we've seen how the cars can tangle through there, but so far so good. Now the very quick chicane of 7 and 8, and then under braking down to the hairpin. This has been looking good, but I'm still crossing fingers and toes out here as we ride on board with Kaufman, DJ.
And that's Adam Gerling directly ahead of him as he tries to close that down through the almost nothing chicane here of 9 and 10. Everybody pretty much single file, being a little bit more cautious here than we saw in the previous series. But now they come down here. Is anybody going to get caught out by that 11 and 12 complex?
I wonder if any of them were watching on that one. And if they were, it seems to have had its effect because there were so many issues there at the start of the race caused just by that one little problem. Meanwhile, completing lap 1, Taylor will lead. Geiger is now in second, having been overtaken by the number 8, and Gregorato still in third. So one position change amongst the podium, Rachel.
Yeah, not as much as we saw in the last race, of course. That's definitely a big change for us now. But that lead is a big deal there. Garrett Taylor was pipped to the podium, or of the top of the podium, I should say, for qualifying. But Garrett Taylor's always been a very reliably fast driver, so seeing him out front wasn't something that surprises me. But can Jake Geiger answer?
A bit of a defensive move there from Taylor, down into 3 and 4, and Geiger's thinking about it. but the 968 has to back out once again. Had one spin from Ryan McGee at the very back. Don't need to go to that. The 944 coming back onto the oval lost control. We saw that plenty in the last race as well at the start as the tires try to get up to temperature. But definitely different from what we witnessed there in the first race, DJ. A lot more pressure on the leader after the first lap is over.
Yeah, for sure. This whole battle up front, it's really a 5-car train with Taylor, Geiger, Gregorato, Barua, and Balestri there trying to hold up and keep nice behind. You get the sense that if one of these drivers makes a mistake, that any one of the other 4 could absolutely pounce on it. So they're all going to have to be on their toes here.
Pretty much all single file now onto the main straight once again, bouncing onto that embankment. And Garrett Taylor leads lap 2 as well. Jake in the 968 just hovering behind. There you see the green number 5 also keeping in tow. From there we start to get a bit of a gap. Barua about 9/10 of a second after them. Will anybody try and dive it in down into turn 3? Someone once again going defensive. Our leader, it seems, Rachel, does not feel entirely safe.
I don't think he would do at this stage of the race. It's so early on. I think Garrett Taylor's really in a defend what I've got until people's tires start to lose that slight edge from the start of this race. Because Geiger and Gregorato are still very fast drivers. He has to keep an eye on them within a second of him, which means on this huge straight as we have here on the oval, they can have him. Now we have a bigger gap behind Balastieri back towards about 9th place. Then it starts to kind of tighten up a bit more there as things go. But this front 3, they are all a threat for each other.
Valasencio has been turned between turns 4 and 5 and 6 rather. And I'm trying to see if there is contact. It does not look like that's the case. So the 44 is going to be sent to the back of the field from that incident. Now we ride on board with 8th place David Kaufman, who is pretty much exactly where he started. And not a whole lot of changing around here at the front, DJ. This has been very patient.
Yeah, it certainly has, and you can see they're up ahead of him. Frick and Gerling, they've swapped positions around, but that's really some of the only stuff that we have seen now as they continue to work their way around. Kaufman just trying to tuck up behind in that draft here. Remember, we really saw it a little bit play out here once you get into the flat portion on the D-oval onto the backstretch, but running wide here like you're seeing Adam Spence doing, trying to run it down the hill, we didn't see that work out to all that much great effect in the previous race.
Yeah, it seems like it's better to just try and make it the shortest distance possible. Almost looked like somebody having an attack in the background. I think that was Evers and Mungia who were almost swapping positions. But we continue to follow Spence down into the double apex of 5 and 6. Way wide here for a few of the drivers. Evers also chopping off that exit as he attempts to catch up to Mungia. No dice, though, Rachel.
No, not quite yet. He's going to have to wait for another lap to get that sort of thing done. The thing with the oval here, these cars, it's not about the overall speed. It's more the momentum and it's also the downforce. They have so much downforce in these cars compared to a stock car. They can stick to the bottom and it's just faster because it's shorter. They don't have to worry about having to carry that speed through the high up just to keep hold of the vehicle.
A little bit of blinking, unfortunately, for our leader, Taylor. And that's not good to see, so we hop back to Geiger instead. He's dropping off a bit, but so is Gregorato behind them. It is now equidistant at about 0.8 of a second. And poor Enrico, look at this. This is Avijit Barua in the 981. The Mid-Ohio Region Zone 4 driver is now starting to lick his chops in a hope that he can swallow up that podium position.
Yeah, and he has been faster on the previous 2 laps to the tune of about 0.2 on average. So he's going to come up here later on the binders. Is Barua there as they work their way down through a little bit of cone friend murder there, but able to keep it out, and Gregorato able to at least keep that gap nice and open.
What's a little murder between friends as we come around turns 5 and 6, and Chris Pippin running out of track. That is David Kaufman in front of him that is playing aggressive here today. David is taking no prisoners And for Chris, he's kind of lucky, Rachel, that he didn't get nudged all the way into the green stuff.
It was pretty close, wasn't it? Yeah, he nearly had a bit of a moment there, but it's a bit early to play that sort of game. There's only, of course, 3 races for these guys, but it's still a little early in the race, a little early in the overall points here. But these guys are fighting for their zone group, so it's a big deal, and they really want to stack those points. But right now, you got to think about averages. It's not just about every single move, every single race.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you get a team involved in a championship in this way, when it's not just about you, it's about you're trying to lift everybody up. There is so much more on the line, and Chris Pippen is not wanting to disappoint as we come across the start-finish line. Kaufman gonna give it tow, but he's got some help, DJ. Adam Gerling is right in front of him as well.
Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit of a 3-car train here starting to form. Again, these drivers playing footsie down with that white line on the apron, really trying to see if there's anything to be had. I've got to say, though, looks like a good run here for Pippen. Oh, contact!
Into the wall hard, and the 248 is sent spinning with major damage to the front. The good news is he's got a spare car as the battle continues down into 5 and 6, but it looks like Pippen is going to have to sit behind Kaufman, yet still things now getting rough, Rachel, out there.
Oh boy, are they getting rough. These guys are definitely holding nothing back here compared to the last race, challenge race. This is getting a little spicy. Look at this move now. Right up the gearbox there of that car, right up behind him. Oh, this is getting, not leaving him much room to breathe.
It's Adam Spence as well in behind, making it a 3-car fight. I think you could almost count those in behind him. Mungia and Evers are also making it something of a quintet, now braking hard down into the chicane in the midfield, and it looks like it was very good for Pippen on Kaufman. Look at how close behind he is. Another mistake, DJ, from David, and it's going to be all over the rear of his bumper for the 42.
And this is going to be just close enough to really make that draft work. Now, the only problem here for Chris Pippen is he doesn't want to throw that car up onto the banking too hard. He's able to slide it up nice and easy, and they're going to go side by side, NASCAR style, through 1 and 2.
But it's a longer distance around for Pippen, and David has got the shorter line. Can he outbrake him is the question. It's a more shallow entry down to the chicane, a little bit deeper into the brakes, too deep into the brakes, and now trying to cut back. They come together, another spin, both of them around, and drivers are plugged up as they have a traffic jam. Oh, more contact between them as well.
Not sure they could have found a worse place to do that. Oh my gosh, right in that tricky first infield corner section. It really makes it messy. Replay here for you, side by side. Absolute super energy coming into here, but you can see already the tempers are up. They're side by side. No one's going to give an inch here as they turn in easily through the entry to the corner, coming towards the exit, and he just tightens it up too much, and bam, round they go. Bottleneck caused, and just bad with traffic coming right up there. Oh, even more contact. Worst place to be. It's kind of blind on the exit there.
That was Adam Holland in the yellow machine with the secondary contact, and boy, the stewards were quick on that one. David Kaufman given a black flag already for that incident. This is Ankerberg Zahn as we come back live. And where is he right now? Still in 10th place, up 2 positions. Oh, excuse me, this is still on replay. So there's the 2 position gained right there. As the Speed Secrets driver sneaks through the middle, and the 13 now gets into P10. So now we are back live, and this is Gregorato in the 3rd position. DJ, the number 5, putting his eyes on 2nd place.
Yeah, he's trying to give a little bit of pressure here to Geiger, and this is the part of the race where you really start to stop and slow down. At least you want to. What I would do here if I was Gregorato is just keep up that pressure. You see a little bit of a wide run there for Geiger. That's the kind of things that I'm going to be very excited to see if I'm Enrico Gregorato. I know I'm getting into his head a little bit. I want to force those little minor errors around here. Running wide there at the hairpin. That's another moment. Gregorato is definitely up in his head.
Oh, and a big look to the inside as Pippen is trying to see if he can get by Williams here, but that one doesn't work. So Williams will retain that 16th position for the time being. Well, there's our first real shakeup here, Rachel. We saw it on lap 1 and then a couple subsequent laps there in the challenge group, but the sport class took a while before things really erupted.
Oh yeah, this one was a little bit slower on the boil, but the kettle still overflows the same way, and things get spicy just as quickly once they start to just go over that edge. And looking at the Yosemite region, zone number 7, Jeff Rosenthal here, getting some good running in at this point, but these guys are trying real hard, but it's starting to get those tempers are building up. The speeds are more even, I think, here, which is causing a bit more of that. Northeast region, zone number 1's Ari Moore Jr. here, but I think it's with the speeds being much similar. It's putting these guys in these same places more often, which is leading to those tempers because they think they're faster.
Certainly seems like it. And coming along through the banking out of NASCAR 2. Look at the braking there as they gain up to Ankerberg's zone. He goes deep. And now the 713 fancies a chance. Wheel slip, just unfortunately too much on the throttle coming out of the chicane. Anker loses a spot, tries to brake deep, tries to shut the door as R.E. Moore Jr. wants to come through, but he can't make that stick, so at least he keeps DJ another one from managing to overtake.
Well, and Moore Jr.'s got to watch his 6 a little bit, as that is Robert Walton that was starting to close up behind. So we're really seeing a lot of these sort of seesaw-type battles. You give too much one way, you get too aggressive, and you're going to be able to be attacked from behind, and that is not what you want to have happen here.
Certainly, and as they now continue on, looks like Anker is having yet more trouble. Back to Frick here in the 6th position. Still gaining on Sebastiano Balestri. This is the battle for P5. And we're actually getting close to where we're going to be talking about some of those in front of them, because as we cross the 25-minute mark of tonight's race, it's time to bring you the Hagerty Motorsports Race Break. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared toward enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Hagerty, let's drive together. Up on the top spot, Garrett Taylor has found a little bit of comfort after having some pressure from behind by P2 early in the race. It has now been a gap extended to about 2 seconds. It's not completely comfortable, but Garrett has been in control. After that, you go to Gregorado, sitting in 2nd, managed to overtake Geiger and has been trying to pull away, but hasn't fully been able to gap him. It's still under threat here with less than a second between himself and his rival for these podium positions. Geiger holds that final step right now there in the 968, and it's 0.8 of a second currently between himself and that P5. Started this one on the pole and has found himself slipping backwards. Can he reverse his fortunes? In 4th, Avijit Barua there in the 981. Started in that exact spot, has been kind of hovering around those podium positions, has wanted to try and challenge for them, but it hasn't really been able to get his foot in the door. After that, in 5th place is Sebastiano Balestieri there in the 516, the Metropolitan New York region driver representing for Zone 1, and he has been having immense pressure today, and he certainly is not able to threaten those in front of him, because as you look behind, it is Kim Frick there in the 66 car, appropriately in 6th place. Let's see if it can be a beastly run for him to try and make an overtake with those 3 6s. Then behind him, it is Adam Spence in the number 55, 7th place in no man's land. Really the first breather anybody has in this group here in the top 10, as everybody in front is really in a bit of a battle. Behind him, Guillermo Mungia in P8. He's been in the wars today, and he's having to play defense there. He's got a lot of ground to make up if he wants to try and make some roads upwards. It's Joseph Evers behind him in P9 right now in the number 830, only 0.8 of a second behind, and really, DJ, stuck in the middle of a train right now.
Yeah, it's a big train going back because right behind him is Jeff Rosenthal, the Yosemite region driver. You can see only about less than a half a second off of Evers in front of him. Behind him, it is Ankerberg Zahn, who is down one position on the day. He has been in the wars as well as a big part of this whole battle. I would have expected to see him up a little bit more. Chasing down Anker right now is the 12th place machine of R.E. Moore Jr. in that 772 machine as you watch them work their way through those final couple of hairpins. Now, a little bit, and I mean a little bit of a gap back in 13th is Adam Holland to the tune of about 9/10 of a second. This is the last of that train you were talking about, Joe, the 144 Upper Canada region driver riding in 13th. Craig Smith back in 14th behind them. That's a little bit of a gap now. That's about 2.5 seconds. He's able to be running the lap that he wants to be running, and he'll be pretty pleased with that. Behind him is Jeff Williams in 15th place, the Rocky Mountain region driver, Zone 9, just trying to close in a little bit if he can. As we've just had a pass behind them is Carl Boccieri, able to move his way up into 16th position. He is in a very, very close fight here. Remember the winner last season in Season 7 from Montreal. He is just gotten by the 17th place Antonio De Silva in that number 24 machine. He'll hope to close in behind. And then Chris Pippin, who was really involved in the wars here early, he is down 4 positions in that 42 machine to be in 18th. Rachel?
Behind him, it is Tom Crane from the Mardi Gras region of zone number 5 there in that 864 machine. Tom Crane is up from 24th, so gain of 5 so far. Ryan McGee behind him from Nordstern region of zone 10. 944 machine there, running 20th, as we said, up 1 spot from 21st right now. 21st is going for a bit of a drift on the grass. Benjamin Fong there from the Rice and Dota region of zone number 2. The 666, the car of the beast, is getting some grass in its undercarriage, unfortunately for him. He's up 4 from 24th. Behind them is James Legault from the Central Indiana region of zone number 4. He's getting some good movement right now. He's up 2 spots as it stands. Behind him, it is Val Anciano from the Hill County region of zone 5. The 44 car there, down from 17th place at the moment. Rob Walton here from the Maverick region of zone 5. That 7 car of Walton is down from 12th, so loss of 12 places right now, unfortunate for him. But these things happen in motor racing. Hopefully a better time out next time. After that, we have Adam Gerling currently on there. He is running 25th place in Metropolitan New York region of zone 1. Guy is down from 6th place. Probably not his favorite night tonight, but still trying to keep that car turning laps. Last but not least, David Kaufman from Pacific Northwest region of zone 6. The 08 car is down from 8th place after some early contact has really shaken things up.
And this concludes tonight's Midway Race Report, brought to you by Haggerty Motorsports. Big thank you to them for sponsoring the Zone Group Challenge. And things have been ebbing back and forth in terms of battles that I've been watching as we did that through the field. Jeff Rosenthal, though, certainly has his hands full because that is Evers in front of him and Mungia there in the 8th place. We saw them in a close little fight as we were running through the field, and that has not dissipated by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, that bright white 830 has got a big run here. But DJ, we've seen this before. The outside line through NASCAR 1 and 2 doesn't always seem to be the way to go.
No, it certainly doesn't, but I will say here in terms of Evers' pace, he was almost a half a second faster through the final sector of this track. Now, he is just going to have to be super late on the binders, but he looks like he is super early on the binders as they work their way down through 3 and 4. And I think that timid braking is going to open him up a little bit from behind. Jeff Rosenthal may get a little bit interested in this.
I think he's getting a lot of bit interested in this as that green car is getting big in the mirrors of the 830. Also, I see 2 cars in pit lane, Tom Crane and Benjamin Fong. Not entirely sure if this is scheduled for them, but it is easily within the pit window with us now past halfway in the race. Looking on board with Holland, also a bit of a 3-car battle here. That is R.E. Moore and Ankerberg Zahn. As you mentioned earlier, Rachel, I'm a bit surprised at Anchor not really being able to make much progress.
Yeah, he's not done a lot so far. He's gone back one position, really, and he's just not progressed in the race like we expected to see. So either he's going for a consistent first race to see what's happening, trying to avoid some of this chaos we've seen, or he's just doing what he can at the moment as more cones die. Rest in peace, cones. They are the real heroes of this race at Auto Club. They do it every time, and we thank them for it.
It is a thankless job out there, repeatedly having to get set back up and knocked down once again as we take a look at Rosenthal here. Now, that is Kevin on his roof, his dog who is helping him along here. So the Yosemite region driver, oh, very cute too. Going to try and give him a little extra speed. Look at how things are starting to tighten up there. And in fact, this group of 3 is starting to be caught, DJ, by Anchor, RE, and Adam.
Yeah, they really are, and I think some of that is just the fact here that Mungia may be a little bit slower, and there may be some more speed to be gained out of Evers and Rosenthal. They want to try to get their way on by here, but it just looks like they are being held up through the twisty bits of this track by Guillermo, so they have really got to get their push on to try to get ahead.
It is now closed down to within 1 second here. And once they get onto the oval portion, that's going to be a lot easier for the 13 to pull them in, breaking now into one of the more dangerous spots from the last race with a challenge group. And thankfully, looks like everybody in this sextet is going to be able to make it through safely on to the main straight. Will we see any pitters amongst them? Yes, we do, as Mungia, Rachel, is going to be the first to blink.
He certainly is, and that's what we kind of hoped we'd see here. And I think it's about the right time for this to happen in our race. It's slightly later than the beginning of the window, but it's definitely in a good position to make this happen, and we brought a lot of people with him here.
Yeah, that was Anchor that you saw, Moore Jr., and Adam Holland all electing to follow in. So that's actually 4 of the 6 that we were following there that have decided it's a good time to take their strategy, as we've instead come over to the battle between Sebastiano there in the 516 and Kim Frick in the 66. This is for 5th position.
Yes, it is. Just trying to see if there's anything to be had here for Frick. Woohoo! Very late onto the binders. They are going down into turn 8. Got to be a little bit careful with that. That corner really tightens itself up there, so it's very, very easy to run a little bit too hot and clip that car in front of you. But Frick just absolutely towing the line, doing a great job.
Ooh, that was way too deep, though, for Sebastian in front of him. The 516 is definitely going to be under threat. I got to think he's going to probably take his pit here in hopes that he can get away from this pressure as we come out of the final corner. But both of them go. They are going to pit at the same time, and a little bit better on the binders for Frick as he starts to gain a little bit. That's going to allow the car of Adam Spence to get a spot or two temporarily, Rachel. But look at this. It's going to be the battle of the pit crews.
Yes, it is. Who can do the service faster? Who's going to run slightly lighter or slightly heavier here to get this thing done? They know exactly how much they need to make it to the end of this one, and we'll see what they can pull off as the first car drops into their slot. Second car staying very honorably wide here. We'll see what he can pull off, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can deploy this in time. We're expecting just fuel here again. We had some people accidentally taking tires last time. I don't know if that helped them. I don't think the leaders did it, but if we see them go up on jacks, that's not going to be a benefit here as we're going to watch these guys get their service. It should be gas them up and go, and it looks like it was quicker for the 66.
Just marginally, I believe. Yeah, I'm looking at the times. Yeah, he was about 0.3 quicker, so it's not going to get him a spot, but it'll get him closer. And these two exiting out have now become the highest drivers to have pitted. But Garrett Taylor is your leader. He's going to carry on to lap 17. Farthest we saw someone go last time, actually, I think was about this, the end of lap 18. Was it not for our farthest driver in the challenge? Yeah, okay. So I'm not sure if we got more drivers with better fuel mileage. Well, maybe not. DJ, looks like Gregorato, Geiger, Barua are all in. Spence, so just somehow the envious skill for Taylor of being able to be fast and good on fuel.
Indeed, looks like Rosenthal's going to be able to stay out as well. Waiting to see if anybody else, I think Craig Smith is going to opt to stay out. Waiting for the rest of the drivers to come through, but this does look like the end of the pit cycle for everybody who is normal with their right foot.
As Bill Soupzon would say, it's like having both the looks and the singing voice. Garrett Taylor just managing to be both fast and efficient out here today. It's not fair to everybody else. Oh, and Carl has missed his pit stall. It's not been Carl's day, Rachel. It seems like sometimes these things just compound. You have one bad thing happen to you, and it's like it takes your focus away.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he could have managed to get a lap time set in qualifying, but he didn't set one at all, and it's really, really hurt him so far. He's been trying to recover all race, and that missed pit box will cost him time. It is, some days just, it doesn't rain, it pours.
And certainly. And our leader is now in. Garrett Taylor looking to take his service. And Enrico in the number 5 was the one who was chasing him, but he has already taken his stop. For reference, it was 11.1 seconds for the number 5 car. Here we ride on board with the Pacific Northwest region driver trying to get up to pace and see if he can gain some time. I doubt, DJ, he's going to be able to jump Taylor, but you never know as he now comes into the chicane. Taylor's such a long pit lane. He's still getting there.
Yeah, this is a massively long pit lane, a true NASCAR-style pit lane, so Gregorato going to be trying to get it out here full power now. You see him taking it as wide as he will go. Taylor waiting in the box, waiting. This is going to be the battle, and remember, Gregorato here is going to be up to speed. It looks like Taylor is out.
It's almost 7/10 quicker for Taylor, or for Gregorato rather, which means he should have gained some time. We're looking back from our leader, and as he can just start to see Enrico get bigger, it doesn't look like enough of a threat. If I am in the cockpit of that 8, Rachel, I'm not sweating right now.
I don't think I am either. No, Garrett Taylor got a good run there, and he's got his time sitting right here. This is where he needs to be. He had a clean run, and I think it'll be nice and solid.
Yeah, all he has to do is manage the race from this point on, because Enrico's not close enough to attack. Oh, and you can see he's pushing as he goes way out. Now, that is within bounds. They are allowed, but you can see the grass is there, and so they have to swing back in time to make sure that they don't get an off track with that. I don't think we've seen any drive-throughs on this one. Now we switch over to Mungia. Once again, this has been a lot of fun to watch here, DJ, and 2 very different lines between himself and Walton.
Yeah, and they've got to be a little bit careful. There's a battle starting to form behind them in the form of Gerling, Rosenthal, Evers, and R.E. Moore Jr. So if they squabble up ahead, that's going to be right up a part of it. Here comes down to the inside into turn 5. That was a great move.
That was Evers in the 830, but he's not out of the woods. Here comes Moore Jr. He is going to try and get his nose to the inside as we watch from Adam Holland's perspective, and no, backs out of it as Evers slams the door shut, Rachel.
Oh, he absolutely did. That door was slammed, and it did not have one of those mechanisms on that slows it down, so that made it very much a statement move, I think.
Indeed, and not having any of that as we once again come into the braking. Rosenthal, who looked a little deep into the corner. Does he get the exit as he tries to get those paw pads running and see if he can find traction out here? Coming now on to the oval. This is where it's all important, and look at how much Evers is just letting the car drift out to help get him that little bit of speed, and I think it paid off here, DJ. He's going to get a tow.
He is going to get a good toe, and crucially, he's going to catch this at the right time. I'm not sure I like the idea to move up a little bit early there. I would have opted to stay in the draft a little bit longer personally if I was Evers, but let's not second guess him. He is going to ride the Kyle Larson line all the way up around the high side, just trying to carry as much momentum as possible, and I don't think that's going to pay off. Look, he lost some time there.
He did indeed. So for now, Rosenthal has got to hope that It's a little less German Shepherd blood on that roof and a little bit more Greyhounds that he's got to be able to try and run away from the 830 as we go back to Holland once again, who chucks the car into turn 5. And that was also costly as Jeff Williams is much farther up the road now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? German Shepherds are incredibly fast if their lunch is ahead of them.
True. True.
That's the one thing you need to get a German Shepherd moving very, very, very fast. Or if you've ever seen a police dog in many places, a Batman. They will go real fast for them. The fur missile is real. But yeah, no, these guys are putting on some real good work today. We're seeing some fantastic racing. Kim Frick here, Niagara region of Zone 1. P5 for him at the moment, so he's up 2 overall from where he started this race, but he's not really had much strength in this thing. Looking back here from Ballestieri, now the Metropolitan New York from Zone 1. Ballestieri's had a great race so far. He's up 1 position, but he's holding in that top 5. He's been fast all race. He's had no mistakes, which has been the important part for him.
But Seb is now feeling the need to go defensive, which is going to give him a shallow line, compromised, but still quick enough because Frick can't seem to get him off of turn 4 there. So out into the infield they go once again, but Jeff Williams has yet to enter it. Still behind, or is he going to be behind more? I don't think so. He's going to be beside more, almost makes contact. Great heads up by RE, and he just barely avoids getting spun around.
And here comes Adam Holland trying to close in on the 517 right now. He's going to go down to the inside of turn 5. A little bit of net coat contact there, but I think that's going to be enough for the 144 to be able to get on by. And indeed, Adam Holland has the position, but this is not done. Craig Smith sitting back in the popcorn position, just licking his chops to see if there's anything to be had.
And don't forget about Geiger, our pole sitter, and he's through. Geiger has managed to get himself into 15th. He had a long stop. Did we cover that? I think he must have fallen back, taking tires or something here, because Rachel, I suddenly thought to myself, wait a minute, why is Geiger all the way down? And he's got a massively long stop.
Yeah, he did. I think he might have caught tires, so that could be a problem for him. But hey, this is how the cookie crumbles sometimes. You make mistakes and you pay for them.
Well, the Geiger counter, unfortunately, going way down. And from a top spot of only 1, 15th is going to be a massive disappointment today. He was trying to see if he could get Williams, but nothing doing there. Oh, and Kim Frick at it once again. And again, causing Sebastian to have to go defensive, but retains that P4 just outside of the podium here. He's got to do it for 5 more minutes as well. So there's certainly, DJ, going to be a lot of action in amongst those two. And there's action now between Mungia and Joseph Evers as they were held up by lap traffic of Ben Fong.
Oh, and they're around. Looks like Adam Holland and I believe Jeff Williams around coming through the chicane.
And I think this was contact between the pair of them. You'll see it similar to what we saw before, miscommunication and the differing lines. Williams is going to be shallow on the second half of it. He's in the yellow car. The highlighter green is going to try and cut across, but didn't anticipate the car being there. The both of them off track in an incident, and that is going to be multiple positions screaming by, Rachel.
That is the worst place to have something happen. It just puts you in that really, really tough location there. There's a big bang, and oh, he manages to dodge it. Geiger gets through, which is good for him, of course, but not good for those guys. That really does shake things up, and it cost Geiger so much time slowing down.
It may have cost some time, but he did get 2 positions out of it, so I'm sure he'll be grateful at least that much. Meanwhile, Ballestieri is going defensive on Frick for the 3rd lap in a row. 4 minutes now left to go, and still unable to make any inroads. The 66 has got to be getting a little bit frustrated here. I'm starting to think, DJ, he's got to get creative. He's got to maybe try somewhere else.
You read my mind, Joe. I think maybe trying to send a big send down into turn 5 may be a possibility, and not let what Ballestieri is doing here throw him off his line. Now, he's very, very good here coming through turn 8 and through this quick flick that is 9 and 10. But I think for him, he has just got to try to surprise Ballestieri. That is going to be the name of the game. Find an area where he's not going to expect it and just chuck it down the inside.
Nothing doing down into the chicane this time. And then they open it up once again. Coming onto the oval, the ever-critical left-hander, in which they got to try and get on the throttle as early as they can, but then not let it bounce on that banking as they come onto the main straight. Frick just too far back once again. Half a second between them. Rachel, we're going to see him pull him in again, but not going to see him, I think, be able to do much as we come over to Pippin now, who's in a big fight.
Yeah, we do. Pippin pushing on here, doing what he can. But this is back towards 15th, of course. Looking towards Craig Smith and Geiger there just in front of him. But it's Mid-Ohio region zone number 4 is Craig Smith. Now the front straight here, going to have a long run round before they get to that turn into the infield. It's not cars. The draft could make this incredibly tight going into the infield.
Indeed. Got to wonder if this is even a bit alien for Geiger, as he's got all these cars that he's not used to racing with, used to being up at the front and down to the inside. Pippin manages to get underneath Smith with Boccieri now trying to chuck his car in. They almost go 3 wide. Somehow they get it single file, and it looks like Pippin is going to come out the best.
Good moves there for Chris Pippin, just absolutely chucking that car in. And good heads up from Boccieri. He noticed where that came in and he saw that door open, just decided to jump on it in here. So a good heads up play for the number 80.
So Boccieri now up, let's see, this is 11 spots from the start. Not too shabby. I'm sure he would have loved more than that. As we check in on Garrett Taylor once again. And actually, are we on the last lap here? I think we might be.
We will be.
Yeah, yes,
Barney's
we are.
waving it.
We are indeed on the last lap. So there, from Barney, alerting us that this is the final circuit around 3 seconds to Gregorado. This is basically Garrett Taylor just making sure to hit his marks on every little bit this last part of the lap as he breaks down into the hairpin, Rachel, and a little bit of blinking. Hopefully not too much of consternation there.
Oh yeah, let's hope that's not the case. But this one cleaned up really a great deal towards the end of this race. We had a couple of moments, but the racing has been so much faster, I think, in this one, so much tighter, and it's led to some things getting a little bit more kind of interesting. But right now, looking towards the front, Gregorato's 2.9 back. He's not contending here for Garrett Taylor.
No, it's going to be Garrett Taylor who opens up his account here in 2022 with a victory at Auto Club Speedway and the Zone Group Challenge. Checkered flag pulled out for the number 8 as he celebrates the first of his wins.
Behind him, Enrico Gregorado going to come across about 3.5 seconds behind to take that second place. Good battle starting to develop here for P10 as Mungia trying to get by R.E. Moore in these last stages.
Yeah, and this is not too far behind Rosenthal. This is basically all a big battle for 8th position. Now you can see them weaving their way through. Can the 713 drag this dog of a car up into the top 10? It's looking good, and a big battle behind them. Now Pippin, once again, Boccieri and Craig Smith. I don't think Boccieri's close enough to be able to try and pip Chris to that spot. And yeah, you see him, look at him try and urge the car forward. That's just not going to be enough. He'll have to settle for 14th. So
it was good, but that was so tight there. 17th coming in the end. It's not what he wanted, but it's still a position up.
Yeah, and impressively, despite having a few more DNFs here today, it looks like we've got all 23 of our runners at the end, finishing on the lead lap. No, I take that back. Looks like Ben Fong is going to be our lone car a lap down. As here is your results. Garrett Taylor taking the win over Gregorado. It was much closer than what we witnessed back in the Challenge Series, 3.5 seconds, but just couldn't keep the pace. Avijit Barua with a well-earned podium today. Definitely deserves a pat on the back for that one. Sebastiano Ballestieri in fourth, a distance back and off the podium. As Kim Frick tried to fight him the whole way, it was 4/10 at the line between those two. Then you've got Adam Spence finishing P6. From there, Robert Walton in 7th, Jeff Rosenthal in P8, Joseph Evers in 9th, and DJ, it's R.E. Moore Jr. wrapping up our top 10.
Guillermo Mungia unable to catch R.E. Moore right at the line, with Joey Geiger right behind him, and Chris Pippen with some very aggressive moves to net him an impressive 13th place. Carl Boccieri unable to get around Pippen, and he'll have to settle for 14th with Craig Smith and Adam Holland behind them. Antonio De Silva was 17th with Tom Crane in 18th, Ryan McGee 19th, and James the Gold rounds out your top 20.
21st is Val Asiano with Adam Gerling in 22nd, Jeff T. Williams 23rd. Anke Bergerson ends up one lap down there in 24th with David Kaufman 25th, and Benjamin Fong rounding out our field in 26th.
So only 2 DNFs today, I believe, in the end. And I believe, are we going to be talking to our winner? Yes, we are. Garrett Taylor going to be joining us in that number 8 machine. And Garrett, congratulations on that win. It looked like you still had to work hard for it because at first Geiger behind you and then Enrico keeping you kind of honest.
Definitely. They gave me something to run away from.
Talk about those pit stops too, because you stopped a little bit later than Enrico. And as you were coming out, were you watching the rearview mirror to see how close he was? Were you kind of at least aware of what his stop was like?
Yeah, definitely. I was watching the rearview mirror the whole way out because I was hoping that I'd maintained that gap. So, and it came out about the same as we went in, so it worked out.
Well, after this lesser used track, we got another one that you don't see as often in Barber Motorsports Park. Can you keep this up with another victory when we head off to Alabama?
I hope so. My first PCA race win came at Barber, so let's hope we can repeat.
Crossing fingers for you. Congratulations on the win. Is there anybody you want to thank for today's win?
Yeah, my Matrix teammates for helping me practice and helping me continue to get better.
All right, so that was Garrett Taylor, your winner. As up next, I think we've got DJ with Enrico Gregorado.
Indeed, Enrico, a very, very close battle out there for you. And near the end of the race, you were kind of able to just sort of sail around, but some hairy moments there in the early stages.
Yeah, it was a great race. Very good driving up front with Jake and Garrett, of course. And we've been practicing all week and swapping fastest laps. So I knew it was going to be tough, and it really was.
Talk to me a little bit about the pit stop strategy. You obviously went for the undercut there. Was that your plan all along, or were you thinking to maybe try to do that to catch Garrett out a little bit?
No, so I noticed that we were coming up to some lap traffic, so I didn't want to stay behind them for a whole lap, and I just happened to be close enough to Garrett to try and take advantage of that as well, but it was primarily to avoid the lap traffic.
Ah, gotcha. Well, I have to ask here, second place is a great way to start off the season. It's very, very a good way to stamp your authority into it. What are your goals going forward in the next couple of races?
Honestly, to do as well as I can for my zone group and just have fun with all of the guys. It's great fun. It's a great way to spend your time.
Well, I couldn't agree any more with you there. It is a great way to spend time. I love watching you guys out here racing. And I guess, Enrico, it's parting thoughts. Anybody you would like to thank for this second place on the podium today?
Yeah, of course, my family, as always, and all of the guys in the zone group, Wild West Zone, and everyone who takes part. It's always good fun, and everyone's really friendly and great.
Well, thank you so much. That was Enrico Gregorano, your second place finisher here today. And Rachel, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher, Abhijit Barua.
Yes,
Hey
I
there.
have indeed. Abhijit Brewer, fantastic run today, third place there, up one from starting third. Just what is this track like for you to drive?
I gotta admit, this is not one of my favorites. I've always struggled with this track, but we've spent some time as a zone group when we were off-season coming out of season 7, Series 7. So all that time that we put on the track looked like it finally paid off with the help of a couple of my competitors who had a couple of slowdowns. So yeah.
Well, it seems like it certainly helped out, of course, but one thing I think I noticed here is you definitely had some fun with traffic on this one, whether it be people trying to have moments on the racetrack and lap traffic. Things got quite busy on there.
Yeah, you kind of have to be mindful of the track, and this track can definitely eat you alive if you're not 100% focused, and if you're off by one beat, next thing you know, you are mowing the lawn.
You certainly are. Well, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank after this race?
Our zone group, the pros and everyone else that actually put in a lot of time. So a big shout out to them. In addition to all of you guys and our sponsor.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Abhijit Brewer, fantastic run here, third place.
Thanks. You too.
That's going to wrap up our interviews and our show for tonight here at Auto Club Speedway for the PCA Sim Racing Series Zone Group Challenge presented by Haggerty Motorsports. And we'll see you next time here at Auto Club for the Club and Pro classes. It all kicks off at 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday, February 18th, live here on Podium Esports. Thank you so much to our title sponsor, Haggerty Motorsports, and a big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing. And a huge thanks to our team tonight, DJ, Rachel, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing presented by Haggerty. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.